Hi.
Welcome, everybody. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ian Blackburn. It's Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. It's time for Zoom into Wine, where we take a look at the different grape varieties. Welcome, everybody. Forgot that I have my YouTube channel on. See you all. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ian Blackburn. It's Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. Got to mute that. Always got to remember to do that. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We've got an awesome show in line for you tonight, all about the topic of Chablis. It's something we haven't done enough of over the last couple of years, so this will be a really fun session. We've got a few more people still clicking in here, getting us on board. We've got a big house. We've got some great wines. I lined up an incredible lineup of wineries for this showcase. And it's all about white wine, and just a couple of things as we go into my PowerPoint. How many of you have actually visited Chablis? Is there a number of you? All right, and you've been there. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. I will take us through all the different slides that we've prepared for us tonight. And we have a wonderful thing to get through. So here we go. Let me get in and open this up. Hope everybody's samples are in good shape. I'm using a little bit more of a balloon glass tonight. I can't see. There you go. A bigger ball, because we're tasting Chardonnay, and it's coming from a very special spot. Of course, we're talking about France. We're talking about Chablis. We're talking about the region of Burgundy. But Chablis is this teeny little island, and it's pretty far north. It's actually a little bit closer to the region of Champagne than it is even Burgundy. If they denote this entire area as Burgundy, this is kind of where Chablis is, and Paris is up here, and the Champagne kind of wraps all the way down and around. So this is where Chablis is. It's kind of like a little satellite, and it has become a very important wine area with some different things to note. There's so many things to learn about it. In fact, I want to go straight into the slideshow and show you this fantastic video that will really get us in the right spot. Even if you've seen this before, you will love it because it's super well done. And I'm going to open it up and make sure we can all see it well. And let's see. Can you see the video on the screen? Here we go.
The Chablis wine growing region is located in France in the north of the Bourgogne region in the Yonne department, between Paris and Beaune. Its story began 150 million years ago, when the region was covered by the sea. It was then that the unique Kimmeridgian soil of the Chablis region was laid down, recognizable by the tiny oyster fossils it contains. Vines were first introduced in Chablis by the Romans between the 1st and 3rd centuries AD. From the 12th century onwards, Cistercian monks of the Abbey of Pontigny, the second of the 4 daughter houses of the Citeaux Abbey, ensured the region prospered. Thanks to its proximity to Paris, accessible by the Yonne River from the town of Auxerre, Chablis wines were soon a regular feature on the tables of the kings of France, and went on to conquer Europe, soon establishing a global reputation. Chablis wines are simple. They're made from a single varietal, the Chardonnay grape. They are always white, and they come in 4 appellations. Petit Chablis, with almost 1,000 hectares planted on the plateaus. Chablis, covering the biggest surface area, with 3,500 hectares. Chablis Première Cru, on favorable slopes, with around 800 hectares. And lastly, Chablis Grand Cru, grown on one single hill, with the very best orientation, and covering just 100 hectares. The Chablis region is crossed from south to north by the river Sainte, which flows into the Yonne. The river and its tributaries have carved out valleys and hills, and the climat of the Chablis region sit on either side, on these slopes that are so well suited to wine growing. But what is a climat? A climat is a specific terroir that offers a subtle balance between aspect, varietal, slope, altitude, and soil type. Each climat has its own identity that is expressed through the grapes that grow there. Vaud, Val, Mont, Cote. One just needs to read the wine labels to see that the local geography is often behind the names of the climat. On the left bank and little valleys perpendicular to the Seine, some 24 climats are located, mostly facing east or southeast. The most famous of them are Vaillons and Mont. But there are also Forêts, Buteaux, les Beauregards, Beaurois, Cote de Lechet, Vaulorent, one of the most steeply sloping climats, Vaulorent, and Vosgor. On the right bank, there are 16 Chablis Premier Cru climats, the most famous of which are Fourchombre, Mont de Milieu, and Montée de Tonnerre. Other less well-known Premier Cru climats include Les Fourneaux and Vaucoupin. And lastly, on a slope below the village of Chablis, the Chablis Grand Cru appellation is grown on 7 climats, with, from east to west, Blanche, Éclos, Valmur, Grenouille, Vaudésir, Creuse, and lastly, Bougros. In all, almost 100 hectares enjoy this exceptional location. Today, this little wine-growing region produces around 40 million bottles, of which almost 2/3 are exported. Each climat provides white wines of great purity. And as you explore the footpaths that wind their way through the vineyards, you too will understand what makes Chablis wines so elegant, rich, and diverse.
Super little video that really kind of gives you a great overview. I hope you can appreciate that. And let me take you now into the slideshow, and we'll get started with our first wine. So just to overview, there's this first subset of vineyards that are dedicated to a wine called Petit Chablis. We are not tasting any of those today. They are basic. Petit Chablis is a wonderful value proposition, but they're vineyards that weren't good enough to be included in the Chablis appellation. What we're going to taste today are some great Chablis wines, different quality levels, because different owners own different quality of vineyards. We'll go from 2 regional Chablis, first one being a Vieilles, and a very good one from Jean-Marc Brocard, to one of the higher tier producers, Samuel Billaud Chablis. Then we're going to taste the Fevre-Fevre Chablis Premier Cru Vaulorent. Then we'll taste Vincent Dampt, the Cote de Lechet. Then Domaine Pinson and Frères, 22 Premier Cru Mont Milieu. And then we'll finish with Moreau-Naudet, a great producer, Premier Cru Vaillons. Okay? All of them are 22s except for this first wine, which is a 2019. This is Jean-Marc Brocard. I, frankly, love my Chablis with a few years of age on them. Once you put them in your cellar, let them rest a little bit and get a little bit of character. Now, I bought a pretty good swath of 19 many years ago because this is a wine I believe in. I like it to mature just a few years. I'm not going to hold on to it for 10 or 15, but having it now in its 6th year is going to be an advantage. Jean-Marc Brocard learned from Petit Chablis, and he's got fantastic vineyards, owns about 80 hectares of vines at this time, and makes a number of different Premier Crus. I believe that he also has a couple of Grand Cru slices. People that own in the Grand Cru probably do not own very much of it, but may even just rent or buy some fruit. But some of these guys make just a little bit of Grand Cru. All the wines that we're going to taste tonight are Chardonnay, so I'll probably spend less and less time repeating that again and again, but I will repeat it. And some of the producers start to play at the higher end with a little bit of wood usage. Here, and through many of the wines, it's almost entirely stainless steel. Temperature control, keeping things focused, keeping things crispy, and as the video showed us, allowing that minerality, those seashells. There's other videos that we could play too that really talk about the history geologically and how the earth platelets really moved around a bunch as basically the continent of Italy attached itself to Northern Europe. There were shock waves and movements and platal things happening, and all of a sudden, all of this, the bottom of the ocean ended up in this one area, and it stayed underwater a little bit longer than the rest, and it created this massive concentration of really deep and dense chalk and limestone with amazing fossils. And the monks saw this about 1,000 years ago and said, this is where we need to plant Chardonnay. Okay, so Jean-Marc is a specialist. Brocard is absolutely a name you can trust. And I always tell people that about Burgundy. In places like Bordeaux, you can trust the vintage. But in a place like Burgundy, trust the brand. They won't put their brand on the bottle if they don't make a great wine. And if you have a good relationship with a brand, trust it through the different vintages. In a tough vintage, they'll make very little wine. And they often do what's called repli, taking their best vineyards and blending them down into the larger productions to improve wine quality, especially in tougher vintages. Tough vintage, you may not want to own that much really high-end wine. You might want to get through that vintage and you want to improve all of your wines all the way down. So that's the whole idea with repli. Now, these wines have marked acidity and great brightness and freshness. This one got 91 points. And you're going to hear a lot about citrus and lemon and apple and pear. Take a swirl on this and give it a nose. It has just a little dapple of a more advancement than some of the other wines because it's got a couple of years in the bottle. Crispy, refreshing, linear, very pure, very focused, piercing acidity, edgy, and not that round and creamy. It's really very well done here. These are older vines. Older vines to them are close to 80 years of age. And so these vines, these old vines, really digging down into the earth and really being able to communicate that minerality. And I enjoy this wine very much. It is a very practical wine. You can see that how the intense amounts of limestone in the soil as they kind of come through very white, a little bit of sand, a little bit of the Cameridian fossilized sea, sea bottom of the seabed type of activities here that really are the vineyards. Now there's no watering of the vines. Everything is dry farmed. And Chablis tends to be picked fairly early, so it tends to have a little bit more of a dependable crop. But in some vintages, like in 2024, it got devastated when the flowers came out and at the end of March, early April, and then we're seeing kind of a repeat of this every year now. A very cold couple of days in late April, early May, and you have tragedy because the vines are just so fragile at that point, and the frost will devastate the vintage. If it's not frost, maybe it's hail. And they just had some killer hail in France. I have not gotten reports back about what that did outside of Paris, but if you YouTube Paris last weekend, it had golf ball size hail hitting Paris and probably some of the wine regions around it. This wine sells for $30. And this is what we need to appreciate about some of these wines. You can buy Petit Chablis probably between $20 and $30 today that you would enjoy. There are probably $10 Petit Chablis. I'm not sure you would enjoy, but there's not much of that price point anymore. Things have just getting wine in a bottle and getting it all the way over here to the US with a decent brand and a reputation is costing more and more. And when tariffs kick in, we'll see another layer of prices coming up. And I will say that today I got presented wine prices that were pretty edgy up. We always overcorrect. Prices probably went way past where they will be 6 months from now, but the new pricing is pretty aggressive. So we're going to start seeing some price increases. And I would suspect, since I bought this wine probably in 22, 23, this particular wine, that this wine's going to be closer. It'll have a 4 in front of it for sure going forward. Love to break there and just kind of get some feedback about the first wine and be able to enjoy it with you. I think the color is giving us just a little bit of that golden, aginess. I have some 2014 Chablis on the website. On Sunday, I did a very special dinner for a very special family. We drank 2007. Now, not every Chablis will go that distance, but better producers can really make it great. And I love to buy Chablis in Magnum bottle from great vintages for my personal, parties at home. Party of 4 with a Magnum is about 2 glasses of Chardonnay for a meal, and I think that that's where you get started with a great party. And Magnums just make so much difference, and wines like Champagne and Chablis out of Magnum are a home run. And then you put in the math, and you can drink a best of breed Chablis for 40, 50, 60 bucks, maybe a Magnum for $100. It's such a good value proposition compared to, say, a single bottle of high scoring California Chardonnay. So very, very a really good value can be found for all. Let's see what Mary Pat has to say. Opened up nicely. More round than expected. Yeah, this wine's got just enough age to soften up. You can tell it's going to have that acidity as it pulls through. I like the peach comment too, Mary Pat. Feel that thing vibrate on the finish there. It's really taut. This is a step above entry level. This is it's Brocard, Jean-Marc Brocard, very good reputation, very old vines, and just kind of where I wanted to start the conversation as we now move into a flight of 2022s. Wine number 2, Samuel Billaud. This is a great producer. There are volume producers that some of them achieve very good things. I would say with 80 hectares, Brocard is a fairly large producer. Billaud is a very highly regarded quality producer and doesn't declassify very deeply. The wines get pricey, and that's because his vineyard ownership is really top tier. This is from 3 terroirs inside of the Chablis appellation, and he owns a number of different additional sites, but this one's from 3 different terroirs that make up this wine, and they're all considered very good and very older estates. He will use some wood and some larger wood in the higher tiers. No wood on this wine at all. 100% Chardonnay, biodynamic in its growing regiment. That's quite a commitment in a wet, cold place like Chablis to be able to try to pull off biodynamics. Plus on concentration, power, depth, and really kind of establishes another gear. Let's feel that wave of quality take over your palate. This comments about higher alcohol on this slide, and that's probably from the review. But I'm telling you right now that the label says 12.5 in alcohol, so I'm not sure where that came from. Not my words. But maybe that's the varietal Chardonnay slide. So I think they're talking about worldwide. Chardonnay does get a little riper, but here in Chablis, they're typically picking late August, early September, pretty underripe, and really picking for that patented mouthfeel, crispiness, and linear type of character. Here's Samuel Billaud. I like the note of yellow plum. Earlier, Mary Pat, you said peach, and I think yellow plum is a pretty interesting description. I think of them. I go to the store, buy these Italian plums, and they have this wonderful firmness, and they're yellow on the inside, and I can really capture that here. Verbena, touches of chalk emerge with the aeration. The palate is a real zing on its entry, sharp and pointed, taut and linear, reviving the senses with an impressive concentration on the finish. Citrus fresh, very saline. I don't think I've said that word yet. And it is going to be omnipresent through all the wines. That hint of saltiness, maybe in the nose, maybe in the mouth. Just wonderful. Just a kiss of that saltiness. That's what you're going to find here. We have a little bit more steepy. There's nothing very high in altitude, but hills are definitely undulating back and forth. So hillside expressions. and giving us a little bit more power and concentration. And this is entry-level Chablis that will probably, unfortunately, be more like a six handle going forward, because I'm showing you 22s right now because I'm going to recommend that you grab some 22s. A, they're pre-tariff priced. B, 23 got destroyed. And so a lot of people are going to pack a few more bucks on the 24 vintage when it comes in. 24, I'm sorry, I misspoke. 23 is actually going to be a good vintage and a decent amount, but 24 got destroyed. So they're packing some price point into the 23s to make up for the shortages that are coming with 24. And now with the tariffs, this wine in particular is definitely going to be $60+. This guy gets $100 for his Premier Cruise, and Grand Crus are going to be $200. I hope you enjoyed wine number 2. Anyone want to say anything before we move on? I see some comments. I don't want to go too far without paying attention to the chats there at the bottom. Just getting started. Perhaps you just came home from work, threw some wine in the glass, getting a little comfortable. That is gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, Ian, just a question for you. The 2019, the Brocard had this beautiful toasty nose. This one doesn't have, I mean, I love the nose, love all these, but that will that develop in a few more years? Is that the result of the bottle age?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like the fruit is still ripening in the bottle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the Brocard is really kind of like saying, okay, I'm ready to go. And this wine will achieve that too. It's probably 2 years that any Chablis just goes from what we have here, which is kind of like a little bit um, uh, ungenerous. You bite into a pear you just bought at the store, and it's still kind of crispy and it doesn't have the juiciness yet. I think these wines kind of take that approach too. They kind of make them to age into that spot. There is a fairly large window though, especially once we get to these quality wines. Again, if you want to lay down a Premier Cru level Chablis for 10 years, you'll love what happens. It really does get very interesting and more character comes, but you can also cheat and drink these right now and have something really fun with some oysters, some sushi, some chicken. These go with a lot of things. I love Chablis with roasted chicken stuffed with pine nuts and goat cheese.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Really fancy. Let's move into wine number 3. And I want to again thank you guys for being so huge. I don't know. Maybe I just haven't done something like this well enough in the past. But we have a fairly large audience tonight for a white wine show, and that's really impressive. And I think the world is also kind of waking up to how great white wines are, as red wines have gotten very expensive, and white wines still provide just a little bit more value, perhaps. And I just love drinking whites. I cook a lot, and it is so much easier to pair with white wine. You get into a steak, and sure, you're going to be opening up a red, but I do a lot of chicken, a lot of fish, a lot of vegetable stuff. And I love my whites. I'm probably still guilty of drinking 2 to 3 bottles of white for every 1 bottle of red. And I know I'm different that way, but this is really something I'm very excited to talk to you about. As we're going to move into the Fevre-Fevre producer now with 2022 Premier Cru, Vaulorent. And I'm sorry my map doesn't break it out into where Vaulorent is, and that should occur. So I'm going to open up a big map in a moment and just show you where some of these sites are. I know our video kind of touched on it, but I want to give you the big bird's eye view. Gilles and Nathalie Fevre farm this 50-hectare property. They've been producing as a family since the 1800s. They were a major supplier to a brand that I love called La Chablisienne, which is actually a négoce. It's a house that works with a lot of small families that grow small amounts of fruit and probably don't grow enough to have their own brand, but you grow the fruit and you sell it to this cooperative called La Chablisienne, and they basically make the wine for the community, and the community shares the profits. It feeds so many families in the Chablis area, and La Chablisienne is a great negotiation slash it's purely a cooperative, and everyone works that way. It's a great way for a region like this with a lot of small families, rather than having to sell your fruit to the big corporation and letting them tell you how much money they're going to pay you for your work. It's just not very fun, and nor is it very prosperous. And La Chablisienne really helps a lot of people make special amounts of money. So anyway, we're not tasting La Chablisienne tonight. We could have, but I would recommend you check them out. They're quite good. But this family pulled away and decided now that with their holdings and their efforts and energies that they're ready to give it a go as a brand on their own. And there are a number of different Fevs out there in the world of Chablis. It's quite a very famous last name, so they use both their last names, and they put it together. Their family, brother and sister. 100% Chardonnay. And this time though, it's from a Premier Cru site, 2022. 94 points for this baby from Jasper Morris, a very well-regarded reviewer. Pale lemon and lime. This producer does tend to make wines that reward even more patience. Oh, that nose. That nose is so beautiful. You can really smell that saltiness. I think the idea of like a Asian pear is this. I love to refer to that. And when I smell Chablis, I smell that right here.
Oh, oh, that's so good. Oh,
I love the sound effects. I can't pipe that in. We got to have a crowd that can make that noise.
oh,
Love that. Love that. Right around that same price point, 51.95. Just a really super bottling. I like the way this wine is already showing. It has this kind of this, when we got to the semi-Billaud, it's all kind of, it's like it's got a lot of traffic in the intersection. You get to the intersection and you get it all at one time, and it's like, bam, this wall of information. This one seems to be a little bit more laid out. You approach with that salty salinity. You get just past that into the intersection. You smell the fruitiness, and then that stoniness is in the distance, and it all just kind of stacks nicely here. Every wine has a different state that it's in. When did they bottle it? What's the potential? What's the vineyard doing? And this one's just really cooperative tonight. Also that leanness And it persists. So good. Mm. Yeah, I could just sip a wine like this for a long time. And this is something I could sit around, and I don't even need food with this. I really like high acid whites, and this is really tantalizing my taste buds. Sure, it's going to be amazing with food. This is made for food, but it's also made for my palate. Before I move on to wine number four, just a little plug. We do quite a few fun little tastings. The Beverly Hills Cheese Store. This one on Saturday is full. And so we have now a new one opened up on June 7th. And that's super exciting. It's going to be a spectacular gathering because I have a great visiting winery. We're still kind of getting the messaging on point. You can see it on the website now. Maybe I should show it to you. Um, we go to learn about wine, we go to the calendar, and I want you just to see June 7th because I'm going to be very proud of this by the time we get there. But we call it Summer Wines with Seasonal Cheeses, Beverly Hills Cheese Store. One of the great wine, not just any winery from Chile, but one of the greatest wineries of Chile is going to be in town that day. And they're going to be with me for this presentation. Check out these scores. We're going to taste all five of these wines along with about 10 others that I call the wines of summer. So it'll be a very special. We'll have special guests from Chile talking about the wines, Beverly Hills cheeses, lots of them. And it's just cheese and wine on this occasion. Sometimes we do cheese and chocolate. This is just really going to be some killer wines involved in this presentation and very special, limited to only 14 seats. So that's why we sell these out pretty quickly. And we haven't even announced this yet. You are the first to hear of it, but we will be making a lot of noise now that Erasmus is going to be joining us. This is a very special brand. I think you'll really love these wines. Back to our regular scheduled program and wine number four. The Dampt family, there's quite a few of them as well. We've met with the Fevres, the Bilauds, the Brocards, now the Dampts. And I have a couple of the different Dampts on the website. This one's Vincent, and they're all very good. Vincent Dampt. This is from the Premier Cru Cote, and this is also a 22. I'll show you on a bigger map where all these sites are. 25 acres of vineyard. The Dampt family, but they are working in different Shea or efforts, many of them, because there's a lot of brothers. Daniel Dampt, also Domaine. I think they call it Domaine Dampt as well. So Vincent Dampt is the third family operation, and he worked at Domaine Leflaive before he came home to the family Shea. Here's a picture of the Côte d'Alect. They're like fingers with trees on top and the hillsides because you don't grow the fruit at the top of the mountain. You let the forest live there. And then the vineyards feed from the winds, and the trees protect from the sun and the wind, and the rain collects down into the rivers at the bottom of the hill. So it's all wonderful little ecosystem. This is 100% Chardonnay. This wine, I don't want to guess, but typically gets pretty interesting pretty fast. 93 points decanter. Well, I forgot about that. They're also connected to the Defoe, Jean Defoe family, and I believe I carry some of their wines as well. Whoa, that is just so cool. Just smell that thing. It's like perfume. It's got such a wonderful. I'm going to press this out into something. My grandmother had a kumquat tree on her property, and I would eat all summer long. I'd just visit the tree, grab a few off, and eat the kumquats. And this has almost got that kind of a orange rind scent in the nose. Mary Pat, thank you guys for the comments. Teresa, thank you. The question you asked a little bit ago there, Mary Pat, about William Fevre, I'm sure they're connected. How closely connected, I'm not sure. But yeah. Yeah, vine spacing is always pretty tight. They believe in spatial competition, and they really do want small amounts of fruit from each vine. So lots of vines, small amounts of fruit instead of larger vines with lots of spacing and lots of fruit. Ray Marie, I'm glad you like that very much. Having a bit of Chev goat cheese with honey and number 4, Stephanie. I think that's a good choice. Thank you, Teresa. I'm glad you like it. I haven't even tasted number 4 yet. Just the nose did it for me. I'm just enamored. Lots of minerality there. Just, man, licking rocks. That is so dry. Mm. My mouth, my tongue is still in traction. Tasting that, feeling that. Got great length, really clean. Beautiful, beautiful wine. And Chablis is a beautiful place to visit. Not quite as inviting as a lot of other places in Burgundy, but downtown Chablis is a nice little town. You'll go there and you'll see all the most of the families that have larger cooperatives and stuff. The cooperatives, the larger facilities, they'll be in the main towns. Um, but it isn't a touristy area. You probably are driving there from somewhere. There isn't a hotel section of town. There is not a strip mall or anything like that. It really is a destination for the wine groups or wine visitors, but they do nice tastings. It's probably an hour's drive from Beaune, and a nice one. It's a straight shot. This is the Vincent Dampt. So 48.95 for the Cote de Lechet. And the prices are all pretty close by. Sometimes it matters, who the distributor is, and sometimes it just matters when you buy them. If you buy them and they just got a huge score, some importers take a price opportunity. I think I bought this Dampt quite a while ago. I still have a good amount of it. It hasn't flown out the door yet, but Chablis is kind of like that. You kind of have to own the wine for about a year, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Because people see the new prices come in with the new vintages, and all of a sudden these 22s are drinking out of their minds, and that's where we're at. This 22 thing is going to happen right now because these wines are gorgeous. Killer. Moving into wine number 5, and I will say one of the best sellers in my premium Chablis arsenal is Domaine Pinson. And this is the Chablis Mont Milieu Premier Cru 2022. This is Laurent and Christophe Pinson. Pinson family has been producing wine for 350 years. Not a lot of vineyard ownership, though, 11 hectares. I'd say that's closer to 30 acres. I don't know where the 50-acre number came from. 2.33 acres per hectare times 11. Look how beautiful. Pinson. Come on, 300 years. So that'll get you that. Aromas of pineapple, vanilla, and apricot. That's wonderful to look for. Also, the little food recommendation they came off of, ham off the bone. That sounds pretty good. "95 points, Jasper Morris. 15% is vinified in wood barrel. Now we're starting to edge into some wood, and that gives it just a little bit of a plushness. Also, you're going to pick up some character in not only the color, the nose, but even maybe some influence from the toast of the wood. See how this is doing. I haven't tasted this. Well, I tasted it on Monday. It was great, but I love it after they've been open for 2 days in the decanters. And you can almost smell that. It's got a little bit of the burnt match at the top. And that's really alluring and exciting. That kind of caramelized character from the wood is a little present there. Remember, it's only 15%, so they're adding this to the stainless steel. Where's my yum button? Who says that for me? I was being complimentary and I was being sincere. I love the noise.
Yum, Ian.
Thank you. That wasn't quite the octave I was looking for, but that sounded good, Tom.
I just wanted to throw it in there for you.
I appreciate the backup.
Yeah.
How about yum?
Yum, there it is. Yeah.
Ian, this one definitely has so far the most what I would call body. And is that just the wood?
I mean, it's
That
wood plus their élevage, as they would call it, the way that they take care of things. Yeah, you get another gear here because of the wood for sure. And it's a little dangerous, a little slippery slope, because when is it okay to start putting these things in wood when you just had all of that dramatic acidity, and then here the acidity kind of hits that wood and softens up a little bit. So I think the rest of Burgundy delivers that kind of wine, and I think it's fun for Chablis to have wines in wood. But I would hate to see everybody go and make something that steps away from what is classic Chablis, which is really crispy.
this one stands out as being different from the rest.
Yep,
And
it sure
it's
does.
delicious, but it's just different. Yeah.
It's more complex.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is absolutely complex and but maybe better isn't the right word, but complex is certainly the good word, because I really do love what the prior wines do with food, the right type of food. And when you incorporate that wood signature, you change the way it impacts the food or embraces the food.
Mhm.
Good noise, good noise. All right, so
Yum.
let me get to it.
Yum.
$59.95. You pay a little bit more for the wood. Excellent. I need a lot of video clicks on my YouTube channel, so lots of sexy love sounds. So look work well.
Mm.
Good, good.
Mm.
Thank you. All right, wine number 6.
I was just going to tell that person to make sure their video's off.
All right, so I I, uh, I think I priced these basically on price order. Um, tasted through them and then kind of tweak some things, move some things around a little bit. But this one definitely is the most expensive wine that we'll taste tonight. It is a brand with great reputation. And she is a great winemaker. Wife of winemaker Stefan Moreau, took over the winery after Stefan's passing. 7 hectares of vines.
All in barrels.
They show barrel here for sure. Not all in barrel, but certainly some barrel is used here on the Premier Cru. And the last one was 15%. Let me see if I can get the actual number here. I'm going to open up the slide and show it to you again. Pear, orange zest, white flour, freshly baked bread. Chablis Premier Cru Vaillons. Vaillons is a very important Premier Cru. It is probably the most sought after of the Premier Crus.
Oh my goodness, that's really something.
Beautiful. As you look down and see the soils, the slope, we're at $82. I'm going to click on the bottle and let me just see if it talks about wood here. Takes its cues from legendary brands like Ravenau, Davisat. Ripe but precisely shaped Chablis that combine minerality and deep concentrated substance. Moreau does the opposite. They harvest later. They harvest by hand. Perfect balance of ripeness and freshness. No chaptalization, which is kind of not a thing of the past, but just remember that it is allowed for them to chaptalize, adding sugar. It's not necessarily practiced, but in years past was definitely a reason why, or it was definitely necessary without a great number of science majors and doctorates making wine that we have today. Doctors of viticulture, doctors of viniculture have really cleaned up the wine industry. We in California need to add acid. They sometimes in France need to add a little sugar. But they typically know that the vintage has been maligned by weather or something like that, and that's when you might need to chaptalize. but this wine just talks about never needing to do that. Biodynamic farming. Tragic death in 2016. He passed unexpectedly. I remember this conversation, and it does not talk about wood. Here we go, maybe in the tasting note. 1.7 hectares, 75-year-old vines. Fermentation is, as always, with natural yeast, so natural fermentations, 3 months of lees aging, aged in about 10% oak. There it is. I knew it was there. Stéphane Moreau's vision is continued by his wife, Virginie, who lifted Davisat-style wines. So Davisat is a very high-end producer. I'm not sure if I even have any left. During the pandemic, I was qualifying for some Davisat because the restaurants were all closed. Once the restaurants opened up, they all kind of disappeared. I have only the Vincent Davisat 22. That's $200 a bottle for the Vaillons, and I have 2 in stock. But the world of Chablis is fascinating. Let me pull open the Chablis map. And answer any questions you guys might have. I think it's going to open here. There we go. So tonight we tasted the Cote de Lechet from Vincent Dampt, Milieu from Domaine Pinson, which is right banked and left banked. This is that river that runs through the middle of Chablis. There's the Vaillons right there. What else do we have? Vaulorent. Where's Vaulorent? There it is. Right there. Perfect. And Chablis Center. Now, the Grand Cru Chablis, did you guys understand watching the video that it's one Grand Cru with 7 expositions? Get rid of those marks. This video, this is not going to be great here to show the separation, but let me just get a little bit closer. Will you let me? Maybe not.
It looks like the petite is grown kind of on the western outskirt and the eastern outskirt of the region. Is that weather related, or what makes it?
Those are basically like less advantageous slopes and potentially flatter soils, and some people will try to tell you that their Petit Chablis is as good as their Chablis as far as the soils and stuff, but with 1,000 years of history, the Chablis region is pretty self-regulated. And so these are just kind of like the lesser of the slopes, so they get declassified into Petit Chablis. Chablis, Appellation AOC, quite a few vineyards.
Yeah.
And here you see the Premier Crus that we just discussed. And then all of the Grand Crus are in one small area there.
Can you scroll up a little bit on that?
Yeah, let me see how I can do that. Why isn't it letting me move? Hold on. Annotate. I'll take that off. Get rid of the annotation. Clear all drawings. Close. Can it move now? Not very well. Let me see if I can get a Grand Cru map up. Here we go. This is a good one. Can you see that?
I'm just seeing bottles.
There you are. Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. No, thank you. How about that?
Oh,
No?
I can see it.
must be my screen then.
Oh, you know what? It's probably because it's way over to the right. Let me see if I open up just that picture. Yeah, that's what I thought it would do. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Okay, so here are the 7. They call it the Grand Cru, and some people make Chablis where they blend the different Grand Cru sites together. You can make a Grand Cru and do that and just call it Grand Cru Chablis. Or you can make a singular Grand Cru and call it the name of which portion of the Grand Cru do you have? Valmure, Val d'Isère, Le Prose, Le Clos, Grand Wheel, Bourgogne, Blanchot. These are the 7. You can see them by color, but it's all one large vineyard, and the city of Chablis is located right next to it. It has the single best exposition. It's basically where it's probably the warmest spot with the best slope and the best sunshine and the most steep, and it's really significant. But it's not very large for the whole world. That's all the Grand Cru Chablis that there is right there.
Wow. Huh.
Now, Grand Cru Chablis tends to get much more expensive and take a very long time to mature. There's the Premier Crus. I love to drink them when they're 5 and older, maybe up to 15 years of age. Grand Crus you don't even touch them until they're 10. And they're probably best when they're 20. So you have to have great patience with Grand Cru. And they definitely are priced at a premium as well. I have a couple on the website, and they tend to start at the $120 range and go up from there. Right. Did you have any favorites tonight?
Yeah. Actually, the last 2 were amazing. And then the price point on the first one we tasted was, that can't be beat. So
Yeah.
they
Chablis
were all good. Yeah.
really is a perfect wine to stock up on. You can drink it fresh and young. You can just have it in your cellar for that perfect moment. But honestly, if you bought a 2022 and 5 years from now you found it, you will be so happy you had it in your cellar. It will really hit some really unique development and character. I have a couple of Chablis in the store, but not very much quantity, where I might have a couple bottles of 18 or 19 or 20, and they're all excellent. And I will say I'm pretty guilty of drinking from my own supply. They do tend to disappear because there's two categories I drink a lot of in the store, maybe three: champagne, Chablis, and Riesling. I can't sell a Riesling, so I drink it, and I love it. I love Riesling. But it's the slowest moving department in the store, but yet I have a large quantity. So it's interesting. Kind of like avocados. Saw a great comedian the other day, and he's like, I've got a problem. I woke up this morning and I have 6 avocados that are ripe. That's a crisis. One avocado's pure joy, but 6 avocados, that's a crisis. He's like, there's only one solution: guacamole.
That's great.
You are so right about this wonderful choice of Chablis. This has just been such a joy.
Yes.
Oh, thank you guys.
Oh,
Do it with me.
thank you.
It was wonderful to have you, and I hope you guys will enjoy Chablis even more. It's going to be a Chablis summer.
Yeah.
Get ready and right back when you have something delicious that you love. I love to hear about it. Don't forget you have a 10% off discount for all the wines on the store. And I'm going to be blogging a little bit over the next couple of days because I've just started to get the May price books from all of my providers, and the tariff pricing is real. Starting to come. You're going to see some pretty drastic moves in pricing. I don't want to scare anybody. We're all going to buy wine into the future, but there's probably opportunities now. If you want to take some positions on some things like champagne and Chablis, this would be the moment to do it because it's only 10% tariff at this point, but it could change. And I think it's about 60 days or 45 days that we're going to find out what's going to happen. And it could also go away, right?
Exactly.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I understand that the area of Champagne has been terribly hit by climate change, and they're even producing champagne in England. Oh,
Sparkling wine. Sparkling wine.
what horrible. And I'm just wondering, since Chablis is very close to Champagne, is the same problem going to hit Chablis as hit Champagne?
Well, first of all, Champagne had and we talked about it earlier. I was in Burgundy with one of the guests on the show tonight in April of last year. And Gary, while we were there and it was cold, parts of Chablis and Champagne were getting devastated by frost. And in fact, right after we left, it even got worse. So 2024 Champagne got rocked. But back in the old days, this was like every other year. Now it's once every 10. So don't feel bad for the Champenoise. And they can't make enough wine. And that's why they are the largest buyer of land north of Kent, England.
Oh,
Same chalk soils stretch from Champagne region all the way to Kent, England. So you'll enjoy the English sparkling because the French are making it.
oh, that's what I wanted to know. Will the French make it in the French way, or are those English people who don't know about wine?
Well, first of all, the English people, they think they know a lot about wine. They are the ones that they hand out all the master somms and masters of wine. I think it's ironic that England is the source of all that, but it is a great amount of love and respect that the English have for the wines of the world, and they have done everything they can to academize the wine world. And certainly the sparkling wine industry is going to benefit from some really good English sparkling.
Oh, okay.
So the French will make the wine, but they cannot call it champagne, correct? It has to be
right. It's going to anything outside of the Champagne region is called sparkling. only champagne gets to call it champagne. Well, except for in Russia, where they insist they want to use the word champagne still, and some very large corporate companies in California that make $5 champagne. Because
Yeah, that's worse than the British. Yeah.
it might be worse than the British by a long shot. Of course, we also put Chablis in a jug in California. So,
Oh God, help us. Yeah.
I took my grandfather's favorite wine was the Chablis in the jug, and he liked it on the rocks. I went to Chablis and I came back with a great bottle of Chablis for him, a Ravenel, in fact. And I opened it for him. I told him the whole story, poured it in the glass, and he looks at me and he goes, "Nope, I like mine on the rocks."
Oh,
American is idiots.
You take care, guys. Have
Thank
a
you.
great night.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian. Good night.
Thanks, Ian.
You're not going to stick around tonight?
Well, I could stick around.
I have some questions to ask you, but I don't know if other people do as well.
Oh, that's great. I'll say goodnight to everybody else that wants to go on with their life, and we'll stick right here and answer some questions.
Oh. Now, this is not about Chablis. Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
I have lived in Dijon for 2 summers.
Oh, right.
I cannot find a decent restaurant.
Okay. Are you in Dijon right now?
I'm going to be, but not now. No, I'm in Santa Monica. I'm going to be soon, though,
Wow.
in August.
Well, gosh, if you email me, I'll send you my restaurant list, which has grown significantly because I started keeping a list. You know, I've been out there telling people I want to retire to live in Burgundy myself.
I know you're the Berghound.
So I'd love to be able to find more information and have people send stuff back to me. But I found some great restaurants on my last trip. Dijon is a little bit further north than I usually like to go.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why you have to be in Dijon?
Well, I lived there for 6 months, and I actually have very dear friends now, and it's the start of the wine trail, and so and also very historical, very wonderful, beautiful,
Of course,
beautiful, gorgeous.
I take the train in there and walk around Dijon, and I greatly prefer Beaune. And
Do you really? Oh, it's such a tourist town.
Oh, I don't feel that way, but I'm the tourist. Maybe that's why I don't feel that way. And sure, it is, but that's why the hotels are better and the food is better.
Where? What the restaurants in Beaune? What are they?
The proximity to great restaurants. There's so many.
Really in Beaune?
In Beaune, so many. And then as Gary and I were traveling, we went south into Beaujolais and had probably the meal of the trip for lunch in Fleury.
Fleury, Beaune.
Had just an incredible.
That was a fabulous restaurant.
Fantastic.
What was the name of it? What was it?
Fleur de Cep.
Fleur de Cep?
Yeah. Or Les Cep.
Les Cep.
Yeah.
It
was in a small town. So search Cep in Fleury and you'll find it.
C-E-P-T?
C-E-P.
C-E-P. Cep.
Yeah.
Okay. The town. All right. Well,
that's the name of the restaurant, Cep and Fleury. F-L-E-U-R-I-E. Fleury.
Oui.
And Cep. That's the name of the restaurant. And it was the guy's pretty artistic. I think it's Michelin starred.
Yeah.
And I hope you eat duck.
Oh, j'adore. J'adore.
Right. Duck with what was that sauce, Gary? It was like a red.
I don't know. Everything was fabulous at that restaurant. Even the smoked butter. Remember the smoked butter?
Yeah. And it was a beef sauce. It was a duck with a beef sauce
Oh
on.
my goodness. Oh,
Yeah.
that's strange. That's bizarre.
Yeah, I think he will challenge you a little bit because his ideas definitely he's definitely adventurous and not just making the
I see.
had before, but the beef with the duck sauce was, or the duck with the beef sauce was amazing. Amazing.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I
So,
was raised,
I have a list of restaurants that I can share with you if you email me.
I will, because I lived in Paris in 50 years ago, and I knew all the old recipes, that were filled with very rich sauces and so on, and I can't find them anywhere.
yeah. Well, um, I mean, there's kind of a tragic trend
Oh, oh,
of of
horrible.
classics going away
Oh,
to a
tell
point
me.
where I think, it'll go away to a point, and then somebody will be like, "Oh, let's do a classic French restaurant and reinvent the category," and it'll come flying back. But yeah, uh, the heavy sauces and the
Oh,
béarnaise and the
oh, there's nothing like it. I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
But there are trends that come and go, and certainly ebb and flow. And right now, restaurants are being so tested.
In what way?
Just the economics of owning a restaurant is just it's such a brutal business and an environment for restaurants between labor, insurance, rent, and
Mm,
food cost, and honestly, the consumer's willingness and ability to pay. Because if you do it well and you do it right, it's
couple $100.
$60 entrees
Yep,
start.
that's right.
Yeah, it's that, and I think everything is going to skyrocket here very soon, and it's going to be very difficult for some restaurants to hang on because
Until
you
somebody.
get pretty accustomed to going to a restaurant and spending a certain amount, and then all of a sudden it goes up 30-40%. You're like, oh, I'm not going there anymore. And
Mhm.
so it's going to be a very, very challenging time. And I think we'll get back to a spot. I mean, years and years ago, if you didn't have a reservation on a Friday or a Saturday night, you weren't going to a restaurant.
That's right. Yes.
And so all of a sudden, this super supply of restaurants came on board, and you didn't really need a restaurant. And if you wanted a restaurant, a reservation, you probably got it so you can get the points on your app. But it wasn't because you needed a reservation. You could probably still walk in. I think the day will come again in the not too distant future where restaurants will once again be in charge because they will have a super finite amount of supply, and and price won't necessarily be such an issue anymore at that point. And I'm not saying I'm looking forward to that, but I do think that there's different times in the economy where maybe you shouldn't be able to eat at the best restaurant in LA every day of the week. It's a special occasion, and so it could be spread around the population a little bit, and I think that's where we need to get back to.
I didn't think I could find a good restaurant in Paris or in Dijon that was under $150 for one person. And that wasn't with great wine. That was just with,
I got a place to send you. You'll have to drive to a little village of Pouilly-Montrachet, I think. It might be in Session.
Pouligny?
Pouilly. It's not too far, but
Yeah,
it's
we,
a good drive, and it's in the countryside, but probably the best little place I could send you. And I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I have it in my book. Uh,
okay.
and
Sounds magnificent.
this woman was the chef in Beaune. Her and her husband owned one of the most famous restaurants in Beaune. They
Oh,
divorced. She opened her place in Pouilly with her partner, by the way, different stage and step in life. And she and her girlfriend became very popular in this town with this new restaurant. And I remember eating there a plate of escargot, 12 escargot for $12.
Oh no, c'est pas, ça c'est il y a 50 ans. That's 50 years ago.
Oh, this was last year, last April.
I can remember starting a 7-course meal with 12 escargot.
That was my meal. That was pretty much my meal. That and it was a great restaurant, a great experience, great wine list.
Formidable, formidable. I can't wait to get the name of it. That sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
I look forward to talking with you on email. And anyone else have anything else to say? Gary, great to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you.
And great memories of our trip just a year ago already.
Yeah.
Good
Great.
to see Gary.
Is that Stephanie?
Hi.
Hi,
Yeah.
Stephanie.
Hello. It was a good Zoom. We did it because you kept going on and on about how much you love the Chablis. So we're like, okay, we're gonna do it.
All right.
We're glad we did.
Did it put a dent in your red wine armor?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but red is still my favorite. But I did enjoy it. I'm glad we did it. One of our first times doing the little tasting. It was fun. It was good. It was fun to try that. We usually do the bottles. So.
What did Gary make for dinner?
Oh, Dave?
David, I'm
Dave.
sorry.
Yeah, he made black cod.
Miso black cod.
Miso black cod. That's great.
It was delicious.
Roasted broccoli.
All right.
Broccoli, yeah.
Are
It
you
went
just-
really well. We were the first wine at that point, and then we moved on to the cheese and honey.
Okay, that's what I thought. You sent me a note saying about the cheese and the honey.
Yeah.
What was it, like a special honey or anything like that?
We got it in one of our things. I don't know. It seems kind of special. It came in one of our Christmas gift boxes I get for, holidays. And the cheese was from Stepladder, from the local, the place we always run into,
Yeah.
the local farmer's market.
Dave, what was your inspiration on the recipe?
Dave?
We love miso black cod, so
Miso black cod's one of my favorites.
Okay.
we're always a fan.
Well, maybe you could share your recipe with me because I want to make that dish. I've never made it before.
I sent you a picture. I texted it to you. You can see it. So yeah, he can share.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Gary.
Bye, Gary.
See you later.
Thank
See you on
you.
another trip.
All right.
See you all later and have a good week.
you too. Thank
Hopefully my
you.
Dodgers did well tonight. We'll find out here in a minute. I haven't peaked or anything. Don't